and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour, we're going to do a couple of things. We are going to learn how to beat those winter blues, and we are also going to find out how to fight pandemic fatigue, which I know everybody's really getting tired of wearing masks and everything. But before we begin, I would like to invite you to give us a call this evening at 781-270-9199, or you can always email me at talk@bcattv.org if you have a question or a suggestion for a future topic, or if you just want to say hi. I would like to continue with my housekeeping rules here. I want to thank the crew for this evening. Chris Flaherty and Jolie Atwood are here to beat their winter blues and hang out at BCAT for the evening. Well, actually, Chris has to because he works here. But I do want to congratulate Jolie for hearing from a couple of her colleges, and she's going to college next year. Woohoo! Good job, Jolie. And I also want to thank my husband, Paul, for staying home for daddy date night because my children are not quite ready for college yet. So, anyway, I would like to introduce you to my wonderful guest for this evening. We have the director of the Burlington Public Library, Mike Wick. Thank you for joining me, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Linda.
And we're doing a little hybrid thing here. You know, if the schools can go hybrid, so can we. So, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Before we really get into the whole pandemic proofing of the library, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you came to Burlington, how you managed to get into your role at the library?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Indiana. I was a resident there for about 23 years before I moved out to the Boston area. With my then girlfriend, now wife. And so while I was here, I had my bachelor's in English literature with a certificate in peace and conflict studies from Indiana University. And so I just was kicking around here, looking to decide what the next step was. Took a little path into working in hospitality management. And I ended up moving into the accounting department and overseeing the accounting department of a 4-star hotel in downtown Boston.
Wow, that does not sound easy or fun.
Well,
I'm sorry, accounting was the only class in college that made me cry.
yeah, I did have a background in mathematics prior to becoming an English literature major.
Oh, wow, okay.
I had been accepted to Notre Dame to study mathematics. But I ended up turning down the 4-year scholarship that I had, which was
Wow.
through the Air Force, because at the age of 18, I was faced with the choice to either make my own decisions for the next 10 years or to have my decisions made for me.
True.
4 years through college and 6 years in the military.
Got it.
So I gave up everything and turned my back on mathematics and went to the other liberal arts. But so I enjoy math. Actually, as we were talking just before this, I was crunching budget numbers.
Oh, man. I do not envy you.
Yeah, I like it. But so,
But
how I
wait,
came to
being an
libraries.
English major and possibly being a math major, your SAT scores must have been like wicked awesome, dude.
They were good. I unfortunately, when I was in high school, I got by. I realized that I could get good grades without a lot of effort. And so I got good grades without a lot of effort.
There you
I didn't
go.
get good grades. So it goes. But yeah, so while I was out here, burned out on hospitality management just because it's a difficult
Dealing with
industry.
people can be an issue.
So, well, it's funny. I'll say that out of all my jobs, I'll say working in hospitality perhaps prepared me best for working in libraries because it's not very different. We're working with individuals all day long, customers, patrons, whatever you'd like to call them.
Okay.
They're one and the same in my mind. But so I ended up looking around to see what secondary education I could get. and Simmons College is in Boston, Venerable Library Science School.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, so I applied, was accepted, and started working in public libraries right out of Simmons. I worked in a wide variety of libraries while I was at Simmons to
Oh, okay.
kind of
Now, was it
discover.
like a 2-year program or
They
what was the
they
master's for
at a
that?
minimum it's 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was I think a year and a half. You were able to condense it into if
Oof.
absolutely
Okay.
you can do that. But so I was working at Simmons College at their library, at other public libraries, college libraries. I kind of picked up whatever jobs I could to
Okay.
see what I'd want to do in libraries. And I really liked working in public libraries. And so I
Cool.
started, yeah, reference librarian at Wellesley at their Wellesley Free Library, which is a lovely space.
Oh, okay.
Um,
When you
and
first said
then,
Wellesley, I was thinking like Wellesley College, but
well,
the
we,
town.
we were pretty close to Wellesley College,
Okay.
yeah, in the downtown area, and
Okay.
just around the corner from Dana Hall as well. So it
Oh,
was interesting.
okay.
I described it like a college library in many ways because
Okay.
we would have a lot of Wellesley High students coming in, Dana Hall students, and Wellesley students, and they all operate at a pretty high level. So the classwork that you were doing with them was almost university level if it wasn't already at
Wow.
a Wellesley
Okay.
college student. So then went to the Peabody Institute Library.
Oh,
My first
okay.
lesson was in how to properly pronounce Peabody. Uh, and so I was the head of reference there. And I was there for, I think, 4.5, 5 years. And then I had been applying to assistant director positions because that was my intended next step.
Okay.
And the position was available at Burlington because Suzanne Sullivan was retiring.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah,
I
so
remember that.
yeah. So I took over the position when she retired, and in a year, Lori Hodgson was retiring, and so I was able to move into that position, and
Excellent.
here I sit.
Yeah, I see you're pulling an all-nighter over there, still at the
Yeah,
library.
yeah, it's it's COVID, so my son is in hybrid school right now. So
Okay.
I'm depending upon the week, I'm at home with him during the day, and I'm working a lot when I'm at home during the day,
Yeah.
uh, and then I come in once my wife gets home and get some quiet time in the office.
Cool. So it's kind of a good thing that you have that flexibility. Not that it's good being in a global pandemic, but you know.
Yeah, I certainly think that it's a good thing. I certainly appreciate that. The town, is able to work with me to do that.
Okay.
I really seek to work with my staff with that as well because it's a difficult time. And one of the you ask a question later on, or in the questions you had sent me as
Okay.
the kind of ideas what we might talk about, you had asked about what I've learned. And the first thing that comes to mind when we're talking about what I've learned with COVID was really in terms of employee relations.
Okay. Well, what did you
It
learn?
is something when you're, yeah. I mean, it's been interesting because it's we want to be compassionate in so many ways, and this has turned our lives upside down. And people are not in ideal situations.
Right.
You caretaking, drop of a hat, you have to take care of someone who's ill, or you yourself have to take a test or something like
Hmm.
that. Or now with childcare,
Right.
when we were starting to come back into the workplace, there were situations like for myself even where we weren't sure what the schools were doing, what the childcare centers were doing,
Right.
and we're still preparing to open up the library. And it's a lot of stress. It is an awful lot of stress for everyone. So approaching it with as much compassion as possible, and working within the guidelines that we have with the town,
Okay.
of course, but we've been very lucky that the town has been just absolutely amazing in terms of making it easy to behave compassionately towards staff at the same time as, get the job done.
Okay. Well, you did mention a couple of things in there that I'm just going to kind of jump into. You did, I think I heard you say that you are starting to think about reopening. Did I hear
Uh,
that? And if so, what criteria must you meet? I mean, are you working with the Board of Health and, state guidelines, and how does all that play out?
Yeah, there's so many different factors that go into making a decision about this. So when I was talking about reopening, I was thinking about when we were reopening for staff to return.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but
Now,
that's
how
okay.
long
I
did
mean,
that take? I mean,
so,
because you
yeah,
probably, I think like the world shut down in March, like mid-March.
15th, yeah.
And then when were you allowed to start bringing staff back? I'm assuming on a rotating basis because you probably didn't go right back to 100% full crew.
Yeah, well, we had so we started drawing down let's see, March 14th, I believe we closed entirely.
Okay.
Before that, we did start drawing staff down so that we were working in rotations. We had that for a week. And so that was, the week of March 7th.
Hmm.
And then the week before that, we were fully open, but, everybody knew we were all waiting for the other shoe to
Right.
drop, right?
Yeah.
Um, so we were making plans. And so for that 2 to 3 week period, we'd come in to the office on Monday with a plan for the week, and by Thursday or Friday of that week, we were creating an entirely different plan for
Right.
the next week.
But I also
Um,
remember kind of back then that nobody realized that we would be shut down for a year. They were just thinking, oh, this is only for like 2 or 3 weeks and then we'll be back to normal.
Maybe a few months at most, right?
Okay.
But that's so like, okay, this will
I'm
be,
thinking
I'll
of the
be okay with
schools and it's like, yay, 2 week vacation. And then all of a sudden it's
Yeah,
like, oh, guess
yeah,
what?
yeah. My wife is an educator, and I saw that play out, just firsthand. But so uh, I'm trying to order my thoughts here.
Oh, that's okay. I'm
So
the queen of tangents. Just, we'll
well, that's
figure it out
okay.
as we go along.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I would say that experience is really what more so than anything, that's what's
Okay.
informed me in the operations, my thinking in the operations of the library. So for
Okay.
a good period of time, so we were closed from mid March until the end of May.
Okay.
Staff came back at the end of May.
Okay. Were you
We
able
had
to
a
bring
period
everybody back or did you have to make some like not layoffs,
of
furloughs
furloughs.
or?
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, during the period when we were closed, there were no furloughs in the town.
Okay.
So we were able to retain our staff. We did have staff that were working from home. I mean, I
Okay.
can certainly talk about that in a little bit as well. Honestly, everything that we were doing at home during that time was really preparing us so that we could hit the ground running when we came back in
Okay.
May. So there's a period of time in May when we were coming back where it was just the department heads who came back because
Okay.
we hadn't touched the building. I had been in during that time. I had been coming into the library off and on,
Okay.
keeping an eye on the place and everything, and just almost kind of wanting to get out into that what felt like a post-apocalyptic world
Well,
where you drive
yeah.
down 128 or 95
Weird.
and not see anybody on the road at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I know. It's like this is supposed to be rush hour and there's like three other cars.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That I won't
from
miss, or that I
oh,
will miss.
exactly, exactly. So coming in, just kind of keeping an eye on the place, collecting materials that were coming in. But then when we started having staff come back, we brought back the department heads,
Okay.
got them situated, got the space set up so that staff could come back, start socially distancing desks, talking about plans that we would have.
Okay.
Of course, at that time, I was working with several departments in the town in order to provide guidelines, get the guidelines, work within them,
Okay.
and get whatever we needed in place. So by June 2nd, staff were back in the building,
Okay.
and we were operating our curbside pickup.
Okay. How big of a staff, I mean, is there at the library? Because I I
Yeah.
feel like a disconnect.
So there's 32 staff
Oh, wow.
total.
Okay. I didn't
Uh,
realize it was that many people.
yeah, not all full time. We've got 17 full time, 15 part time.
Okay.
So actually, I'm sorry, I've got that flip: 15 full time, 17 part time
Okay.
staff. And so yeah, once we got everybody back into the building, we started curbside services. And as I said, a lot of this that has informed my how I've operated
Mm-hmm.
is that lack of um, continuity and expectation in those
I'm sorry.
first few weeks.
Okay.
As we were shifting and the grounds were shifting underneath us, it was really difficult to communicate to our public,
Okay.
what we were doing.
Now, did you have any, as far as like curbside pickup and some of the other programs that you're doing, did you have any guidance like other libraries? I mean, who would have thought you could do curbside pickup at a library?
Yeah.
Where did you come up with these ideas?
Well, certainly not in a vacuum. A lot of libraries, that's the great thing about working in this industry, is that
Okay.
everybody collaborates. And so, having the library network, the Merrimack Valley Library Consortia, um,
Okay.
we were, while we were closed entirely, we were having weekly, sometimes twice weekly, sometimes daily check-ins among directors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
talking
cool.
about, yeah, kind of what the expectations from our town
Okay.
were. I mean, each library is operating differently.
Okay.
It seems like as many libraries as exist, there's different ways of doing things, and
Right.
that's during COVID and during normal times.
Okay. Now,
Um,
backing up a little bit, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but that's what I do. Um, with these regularly scheduled meetings or with these meetings with the consortium, was that something new to the pandemic, or had you always been in regular contact with other libraries? For
we're in
as far as
regular.
like planning and programming, because you do have the intra-library loan thing.
Oh, absolutely. Behind the scenes, I don't think staff, or I'm sorry, I don't think the public knows how closely staff works with other staff members in other libraries.
Okay. That's why you're
Of course,
here.
again, yeah, each library is different, like I said, but we work with umbrella policies. So,
Okay.
policies that pertain to how we use software that's used to circulate materials, how we catalog materials.
Okay.
That is all decided at a consortia level. um, Other things related to that, maybe like what the overdue fines may be, or how long we want to circulate materials for, that's decided at a library level. But
Okay.
there's many frequent meetings that we have at all the different department levels. And even beyond that, there's other groups that meet maybe even outside of the consortia, just in
Okay.
regional meetings. When we talk about programming, Marnie Smith, our assistant director, is in charge of adult programming, goes to a programmers meeting that takes place every other month, where everybody talks about what programmers they've had come in,
Oh,
what's
cool.
worked, what
Okay.
hasn't worked, and they share ideas. Um,
Okay.
so there's a lot of uh, there's a lot of collaboration. There's a
Okay.
lot of checking in, but it just became very frequent because, partially because we nobody kind of knew what they were doing, so
Right.
we didn't want to recreate the wheel, each and every one of us. So we were taking from other people
Okay.
and getting ideas of maybe where vendors were to order PPE from and all that kind
Oh,
of
okay.
stuff. Um, but also, it was almost a mental health exercise. Checking in, commiserating with each other.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
it had to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
So is that
yeah.
kind of where everybody's like, hey, let's try curbside pickup and these are the policies and quarantining books? I mean, do you need to quarantine books? I've gotten a couple of emails, from the library saying, even if, your book isn't late, it's just if you've turned it in, it's in like a timeout or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Most libraries now at this point are doing a 7-day quarantine of
Okay.
materials. That seems to have become the standard.
Is that like
Um,
all materials, like DVDs as well as books, as well as, okay.
yeah. And a part of the reason I don't mean to sound alarmist by giving this information because there's been some questions about the study itself, but there was a study that was done by the American Library Association in conjunction with the university, the name of which I don't remember.
Okay.
But what they did was they tested to see how long COVID could stay on material surfaces.
Okay.
So what they did was they inoculated materials. They stacked the materials like they would be in quarantine because it's not like we have them separated. And then they would every day come and test the materials and see if
Okay.
COVID was still traceable.
Okay. Yeah, books won't keep a 6 foot social distance. So,
Yeah, they leave. They stay where you put them
exactly.
most time.
Most of the
Unless you're
time.
working in a library, then they tend to walk away, I guess, and move from one shelf to the other when you're not looking. But so the research showed that the longest amount of time that COVID could stay on materials was about 5 days.
Oh,
So with
okay.
with our with our operations, we weren't able to do a 5 day period easily. I won't get into the exactly why, but it's
Yeah.
difficult when you're closed over the weekend to do a 5 day period. So we just went easy 7 days. Most libraries
Monday
have
to
done that.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I will say, there's been some people who've come out against that study that's been done, saying that the levels that they were inoculating the materials with were much higher than you would experience in any
Okay.
natural environment. That I don't remember how many times more it was than what you would normally find. But so the state guidelines are 3 days. And in fact, I think it started creeping back 3 days, 48 hours, and then 24 hours.
Okay.
But, be safer rather than sorry. And for the health of patrons and staff, we went with an abundance of caution, as everybody says at
Okay.
this
And you
point.
don't charge late fees anymore, which is also
Exactly. We don't charge late
score.
fees. We have automatic renewals now too.
I noticed
Um,
that.
Yeah, so that was something that we were the first library in the Merrimack Valley Consortia to institute. We were the
Really?
guinea pigs for that. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Now, was this
that
your
rolled out.
idea or?
Well, it's I'd like to say that it was my idea, but it's something that was in the works for a while
Okay.
with the consortia, and they were looking for a library that was willing to test it, and I'm the person that put my hand up, much to the chagrin of my staff. No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, they
No,
said, okay, everybody who wants to do this step forward, and everybody else stepped back, and you're
yeah,
like, what?
yeah. No, it's been a wonderful service. The nice thing about it is I think that I'm probably the rank among the worst library patrons in terms of getting materials back on time. And so maybe I've done all of this in order to benefit myself. No, not really. It's, reducing library fines is really an equity issue. People, a nickel a day, a lot of people can potentially afford, but the individuals who can't afford it, it really makes a big difference in their
Okay.
use of the library. If you're saying that a cutoff of using the library and not using the library is $20, that may be the difference between feeding a family of four and not skipping a meal.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't want the library to be the reason why someone has to skip a meal. Information is free, and information should be free. And so the automatic renewals was just, a step beyond that, making it easier, expanding that customer service. Because I certainly like waking up and looking over and not getting a note saying you're late, but instead saying,
Then
"Hey,
you're
you
like,
know what? We renewed this for you." It changes the interaction
it
in a lot of
does,
ways.
yeah. Positive reinforcement. Gotta love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I know that this
Yeah,
is due, but we got it for you. Don't worry about it.
we got you covered. Yeah. So, just speaking of traffic and everything, and with the curbside pick, and I know that once schools shut down last spring and even now into the fall, I'm trying to reduce the amount of boredom that my kids are experiencing. So we've been regulars. I'm going onto the catalog like weekly saying, oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. Have you noticed or have you tracked the traffic in the library? Like, is it up from pre COVID? Is it down from pre COVID? Is it the same? Is it just different people? Have you
Yeah.
looked
Well,
at
yeah.
any of this stuff?
Um, I think you talking about as a different people. I think that there's a big part of that. That's something that I've been looking at a lot recently, especially as we've been doing annual reports and everything.
Okay.
And it's in some respects, comparing these numbers is apples to oranges. Because we tracked foot traffic in the building. We would have
Okay.
over 250,000 people in the building a year.
Wow.
Yeah, we were I'm guessing that we were the second most trafficked building in the town outside of the schools.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, but
so
people are forced to go to school. No,
yeah,
sorry.
exactly. They're not forced to go to the library, right? I would follow up with that in most closed doors meetings with the town administration, but not in town meeting itself. But no, so now we have been able to track the number of cars that come through, but that's not the same information because that's a
Okay.
car as opposed to groups of people or whatever.
Okay.
Um, so a good comparison would be circulation. Although I would argue that it's not the best comparison because people are working from home now, and Burlington is a town where we're a daytime community where we have 150,000 or over 150,000 people who regularly travel through Burlington or travel to Burlington a day
Mm-hmm. Right.
during the weekday, and then a community at night of
It's,
26,000.
yeah, I was about to say
Uh,
30. That, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's
There's a
twenty-six
big
thousand.
difference there.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, big difference. So did our circulation go down? Absolutely.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it did go down. A part of that, is because people just aren't traveling here and they're going to their own home communities because so many
Okay.
libraries are circulating materials.
Okay.
And if you can request something and have it delivered to your home community and you're not in a rush, why bother hopping in your car and driving down? And most people aren't willing
Okay.
to travel or go to different places for obvious reasons right
Okay. Right.
now. So
I didn't
yes,
realize that there would be that big of a non-Burlington resident using the Burlington Library. That kind of surprises me.
Oh yeah, so that's one big thing that we really
Hmm.
experience is
Okay.
that we have a lot of people who live outside the community who use the library. Woburn
Oh, okay.
residents have for a long time factored in as a large group of individuals who've used the library. Of course, Woburn is in a different library network. They're a
Oh,
part of the
okay.
Minuteman Library Network.
Oh, okay.
So it almost like, if you go to both libraries, you get the best of both worlds because you get a
Cool.
wider range of books. You can put an item on hold in both networks and see which
Okay.
one gets it to you faster. Or it's just because of the way that Massachusetts is set up, and each municipality has a library. You may live on the border of Woburn, but if you're just down Wynn Street, it's so much quicker to come to Burlington to the library than it is
Okay.
to drive downtown Woburn.
Oh, okay.
So, so I think that we have taken a hit in circulation,
Okay.
um, and partially I would attribute that to as well, a lack of browsing. People being able to wander around the building, just serendipitously come across a book, and pull it off the shelf. We've
Yeah.
tried, and we're trying to improve browsability in a variety of ways.
Yeah,
We
how you
had
doing
our
that? Because I'm thinking, exactly that. I'm like trying to pick out books for my kids, and from the little two-sentence thing on the website, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if
yeah,
if it's
it's tough.
appropriate. Where flipping through the pages and actually seeing a physical book, you could say, yes, he's going to love this, or I'm putting it back on the shelf.
Yeah, well, so a lot of patrons who've called either the children's desk, in that situation, if you're
Okay.
looking for a kid, or the reference desk to look for recommendations, that's really where we shine.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think that's where a
Never
lot
thought
of
of that.
people, yeah, exactly. I think that that's where a lot of people have realized a hidden gem of the library is
Mm,
asking for recommendations.
okay.
Um, I'm the worst type of person in a lot of ways, librarian in a
Oh,
lot
I
of
don't know
ways.
about that.
Well, I never like asking for directions and I don't like asking for book recommendations. And so I think that a lot of people are that way too. They'll just want to go browse the shelves.
Okay.
Um, but our librarians are this is what we live for is people who are asking for book recommendations. And so
Okay.
yeah, the people who've called up and gotten recommendations, they're now repeat customers. I see stacks of books going out through
Now,
children's, and
pre-COVID, weren't you doing like a book suggestion thing?
yeah,
Is
so
that
there's
like
that's
a
the other host of things that we're doing now. So
okay?
we've had book bundles. So it's like a
Okay,
book
that's what I'm thinking of.
subscription service. Yeah, if you want if you want librarians to kind of what do I want to say? Collect your reading interests and start catering books to those reading interests. That's a great way to do it. We've started that up in the last month again,
Oh,
um,
great.
because it's a fair amount of work. So we wanted to make sure that we could do that, and we are. We also have because people like that new bookshelf that we have. We've always subscribed to a service called Wowberry.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw that on your website. That's like, wow, library. Tell me,
Yeah, so
okay, keep going.
it's a list of what we've been getting new in the library. So
Oh,
if people want to see what's new,
okay.
that's where that list is. We also have author alerts. So if there's an author that you enjoy reading,
Okay.
you can type in their name and you'll get an email alert anytime that we add something by that author. And it works even for
Oh,
movies. If there's a actor or an actress that you enjoy, a movie director that you
okay.
enjoy, a musician that you enjoy listening to,
Hmm,
you'll get
cool.
notifications when those come out. And
Okay.
that's not an exhaustive list by any means, but that's. Oh, and I would say too, I wanted to mention pop-up libraries that we were doing over the summer,
I, are
and
those the
into the
little libraries that are showing up all over the neighborhood, or is that something
well,
else?
so we were doing these on the front lawn of the library. We'd pull our materials out of the
Oh,
building
okay.
and set them up on the front lawn so that people could socially distance, get materials. And typically
I
we were
love it.
doing them on Fridays, from about 2 to 5 in the afternoon. And if the weather was good, we'd haul stuff out there and set up a pop up library.
Cool. Now, in those pop-up libraries, was it like a variety of like some kids, some teens, some adults, some fiction, some nonfiction? So, how'd you come up with a sample?
Well, we just have a lot of different librarians who, who collect for these
Okay, you
different
go get one
topics.
book, and you go get one book.
Yeah, we need each person to get a table,
Okay.
and yeah, so we'd pull new books. It was primarily
Oh,
like high interest items.
okay.
So the new materials that we would be getting in, children's materials. We've been working with the Remote Academy in Burlington,
Oh,
and so
okay.
the Remote Academy, yeah, the largest elementary school in Burlington right now, and it is
Is
all fully
virtual.
yeah, it's all virtual. So, working with Sean Musselman and his team,
Okay.
uh, I want to give a shout out to him because he's awesome, great person to work with, and it's really been wonderful having a partner in the community and in the school system,
Okay.
because he reached out to us after seeing our curbside service.
Oh, okay.
He said that he really liked the ease of the curbside service. I
Okay.
honestly think that we probably have the best curbside service of libraries in the area, and it's partially because of our structure of the parking lot and
Okay.
everything. It just
Yeah, there's
makes
a
it
nice
very easy.
loop.
Exactly. Makes it very simple. But so he saw how easy it was, and he said that he had a problem that they need to distribute materials. They don't have a physical school because they are comprised of many teachers from many schools
Right.
throughout Burlington. And so, he said that they did an iPad rollout. And he said it was tricky because of all the different limitations that they had. And he said he was thinking
Okay.
of where he could station some pickup point, and then he came to the library and picked up books for his family.
It's like, you
And
guys rock.
yeah, and he said, "This works great. Maybe I can ask the library if we can do something." So now we've been distributing materials for their entire school on a weekly basis. If they have a workbook that needs to
Okay.
go home to these kids, if kids need to drop off materials to get it to their teacher,
Okay, so it's
um,
not your materials that you're distributing, you're just providing the service of distribution.
distribution exactly.
Okay, because I was thinking, are you involved in curriculum development now?
Like nobody would want me involved in that. It would all be
Although,
comic books and blues music if it was me. Um,
some people
but
might not mind that option.
my son seems to enjoy it. Uh,
I
but yeah,
digress.
so during that time, we did a pop-up library just for the remote academy
Okay.
as well, and so we pulled out materials that were appropriate for what they were doing, the age
Okay.
groups that were coming in, and we had I think over 200 people come to that.
Wow.
It was great.
How
Yeah,
did
we
you
staggered.
socially distance with that many people?
Yeah, well, we staggered it.
Oh, okay.
So that yeah, so we had it over several hours. We kind of timed it by grade
The
levels
grade.
and
Okay.
everything. So yeah, and it's surprising. When you get 200 people outside, it doesn't seem like that many when they're spread apart enough.
That's true. That's true. And I had a question and I totally forgot what it was.
That's all right. You're giving me a chance to take a sip of.
Yes, we need to stay hydrated, especially during now. Um, I completely forgot. I suppose I should just, keep reading off. Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you're talking about these pop-up libraries, which are really cool.
Mhm.
Now, over the summer, I've also seen those little libraries popping up on people's lawns.
Yes, yeah, the little free
How,
libraries.
what are your thoughts on those? I mean, are they competition to the library? Are they, you know, do you have any say? Do you frequent them? Tell me more.
No,
What are your thoughts on those?
I
Do you
I
have any
like them.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I have if it were to be something that were sanctioned by the library, my only concern would be, how do we keep them stocked? I don't have staff that is able to, on a typical operational level, drive around, troll around the neighborhoods of Burlington and fill up, all these little free libraries that maybe pop up. But it's a wonderful idea. I don't think that there's anything. There's no competition among literacy, unless you're doing a summer reading program and trying to figure out who can read the most books. I love the idea. I've wanted to install one myself at our home, and we've just moved recently, so now
Okay.
we've got a good opportunity, and that's something that I've been kind of kicking around as an idea for next or this. I guess I should say this summer,
Okay.
putting one together.
Yeah, you might want to
Be-
wait until slightly warmer weather because doing it with,
oh,
3 inches of
being
snow
a,
on the ground.
I don't want to dig with a post hole digger in this kind of.
Yeah, an exercise in futility. So, okay, well, let's kind of change change directions for a moment. You had mentioned that the curbside pickup is going really well, and everybody, Mr. Musselman's partnering on that. Well, what about some of the other programs? I was when my kids were younger, we were faithful to go to all the kids' story times and all the special guests. And you can't do that now. I mean, how do you keep a 2-year-old entertained for story hour? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
how you?
we do it actually. It's
Oh,
interesting.
cool. Okay.
So when we all went home
Okay.
in March, I had the advantage, I guess, of having a young child at home
Okay.
and realizing what this meant for parents when we all went home. Yeah, exactly. And so I said, we need to start creating content for parents and people who are home, who are stuck at home, who,
Okay.
we none of us have done this before. None of us know what we're doing. People are going to want content. So we started off almost right out the gate. I think that next week we started doing story times.
Okay.
Staff just using books that they got from home. Eventually, people came back in just to grab books and everything,
Okay.
and kind of restock their shelves. But
Okay.
yeah,
Because you were stuck
we
at home with your 5, 6-year-old and
yeah, yeah,
realizing that something needs to
yeah.
get done
They're going to be
fast.
climbing the walls here soon. Give it 72 hours. Yeah, so it was a very quick learning lesson in Zoom.
Okay.
Then after Zoom started, we started showing on Facebook Live as well.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I think
Or
it
did it start
started
on
on
Facebook?
Facebook Live.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we got into Zoom, and you can broadcast on Facebook Live at the same time as you're doing Zoom. So we
Oh,
started doing it on
okay.
both platforms, so that if people didn't sign up, we'd still have them broadcasting on Facebook Live so that they'd be
Okay.
able to see it. So our first major program was early April. So only a few weeks after
Yeah.
the library shut down, we had a magician who did a
Cool.
really great magic show, and you can still go on Facebook and watch it. We've got a
Okay.
lot of our videos archived on Facebook, and even if you don't have a Facebook account, you can still watch videos on Facebook. You can still use
Really?
our Facebook page. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
um,
Okay. I
yeah.
am on
So
Facebook, so I didn't know that that even was a feature, but that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we had over 200 people. We had over 200 signups alone. Now,
Wow.
when you're looking at statistics for
I
online
don't think there were
programs,
ever that many preschoolers in the story times when I
oh
went to the library. There may
yeah,
have
no,
been,
and
yeah.
our capacity for the Fogelberg room is 125. So we exceeded our capacity, and when you start looking at programming
Okay.
statistics and numbers of users, there were 200 people who had logged in, but you could see in a lot of those Zoom windows there were 2 to 3 kids each,
Yeah.
watching these shows. And yeah, so we don't take the number and double it. We just take the number of registrations. But it's
It's
been
still
really
phenomenal.
interesting. Yeah, it's been really interesting because as I was crunching the numbers, our statistics for children's programming did go down, but only a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why it went down is because usually during summer reading, we do a ton of programming.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, just a huge push for programming.
Okay.
And this year, everybody had been stuck indoors. And, during the summer, this is when a lot of people got out. And so we just didn't have
Okay.
as much participation because of, what was going on.
Right.
And we did less because we anticipated that was going to be the situation.
Okay.
Uh, and I think we did a good job of reading the tea leaves on that one. But our adult programming and our teen programming has gone up,
Just
even though
during the
we've
summer or like since the pandemic hit?
that's yeah since the pandemic.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
So
ever
we've
try to
done.
figure out why this happened, or you're just going with it? Going, we have more people, let's do this.
I think it's attributed to 3 things. I
Okay.
think people are starved for content. People don't have anywhere else to go.
Okay.
There's not much competition that we're facing. And we're really diversifying our programming
Oh, okay.
in a big way.
Yeah, I've kind of
And
noticed that. You got a lot of stuff going on at least based on what I saw on the website. So
yeah,
tell me more.
our reference department, um, because we've been able to take people away from the desk on the reference department. They've been doing programming.
Oh, cool.
Justin Acosta, who's one of our reference librarians, is
Hmm.
putting together a trivia night once a month.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and, I mean, he comes up with the trivia questions all on his own, and puts it together, and it's been getting a lot of participation. And we even did one for New Year's Eve,
Oh, cool.
because
Yeah, because nobody was supposed to go out anywhere, and
yeah,
so
exactly.
how do
What
you
do you do?
like? I've seen that posted, and I'm thinking, how do you answer the trivia questions? I mean, is it still like virtual teams, and do you write down all your answers, or is it like I don't know? It sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, people at home can participate, and what they do is, we just ask you to use the honor system. It's not like there's any awards or anything like that.
You get bragging
Uh,
rights. Hey.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what it is. It's bragging rights because people report their scores at the end of the event, and they get a ranking and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's that's been amazing. Donna Manugian, our head of reference, she coordinated ukulele lessons. Uh,
Really? Where
yeah,
did people get
yeah.
their ukuleles, though?
So there's a very large grouping of elementary students
Hmm.
who are doing ukulele lessons.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
there's a teacher in the school system that does ukulele lessons,
Okay.
and there's also adults. And on top of that, we've been circulating ukuleles at the library.
Who knew?
Yeah,
I didn't know. So I could go to the library, well, not go, but call ahead to the library and borrow a ukulele and
yeah,
then
we've
take
been.
lessons.
Yeah,
I like
we've
that better
halted.
than the recorder that my kids are supposed to be learning. Could have a
Yeah,
ukulele and recorder duet. Why not?
it sounds a lot better. It's funny too because the Remote Academy was distributing recorders recently, and I was out there handing them out to people as they were driving by. And I was apologizing to
Sorry.
every parent.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Actually, when my kids did take recorder, it really wasn't that bad. The kids did an amazing job. The music teacher did phenomenally. The kids performed at the end of the year. It was great.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
was it was more a reflection on my own ability to play the recorder as a child than anything. But yeah, so doing ukulele lessons. Shelley Slobodar, our other reference librarian, she's coordinating paint nights for
wow.
patrons. She's been doing some other programming as well. We had informational sessions on voting. And ranked choice voting was coming up as a ballot
Oh, voting.
question.
I thought you said boating, like, rowboating, canoeing. No, voting. Oh, okay.
We actually did an idea that one of our staff members floated, and I used that
Floated
as a
boat.
pun.
Ha ha. I
That
get
is
it.
a pun,
I get it.
exactly. Kayak lessons, uh,
Really?
because yeah, why not? But we tossed that overboard. Um, I don't know. I was reaching for another bad
Yeah, it worked.
pun. But
That
but
idea
yeah,
was
so
all wet. Then,
yeah, so so yeah, the amount of programming that we've been doing is expanding because of staff availability to do programming, and also Marnie Smith, our assistant director, she's expanded programming quite a bit, and that's something that we've been trying to do, and we've certainly been able to achieve it and push it more. So she had done at the beginning of everybody quarantining, she started a series of cooking classes
cooking
because
class. Wow.
yeah, bread baking was
Yeah,
in vogue.
what was the deal with the whole bread thing? I think I missed that memo. Like everybody was making sourdough bread,
Yeah, well, any
including
kind
Marnie.
of bread. Yeah, yeah. It's
Wow.
it's It's one of those things where all of a sudden it just enters the collective consciousness and takes off. So yeah, so we got on board with that, and a lot of people show up to the programs.
Wow.
Um, and then we had the representatives from the Burlington High School reach out as they were looking to do more, integration for social justice topics
Oh, yeah,
uh,
that was big
in
this summer.
in the high school. Yeah, and so that's
Okay.
something that they've been talking a lot about in the high school. Of course, they have the DEI,
Mm-hmm.
who's come in. That they were able to hire as well, and so this was something that we were going to be doing anyway. Honestly,
Okay.
it was an idea that as everything was happening, the library. What we try and do is position ourselves as a way for people to, navigate topics.
Okay.
If there's a new topic that's out there, we try and help people
We're on
maybe
it.
get some information about it. Yeah, and we find professionals, who are good speakers, who are able to communicate information,
Okay.
and help people just learn a little bit more about it. And then even at the same time, there were many other libraries that were doing it. So there's 9 libraries in the Merrimack Valley that have partnered together, who share programs, share advertising for social justice programming.
Oh, wow.
uh, yeah, we've got some great programs that we've had. There's some great programs that are coming up. I'd ask anybody who's interested in watching them, they could go on Facebook under our Facebook page where all the programs are archived, or they can go to our webpage, and on the homepage, there's a link for the social justice series under programs.
Okay. Well, that's really cool. Now,
Yeah.
with all of these programs, like the voting information, the social justice, the cooking, the puppetry, the stories, the book clubs, do you see any of this continuing post, you know, post the pandemic? Or do you see just, okay, it was fun while it lasted and now let's go back to what we used to do?
No, this was just this is a good opportunity for us to do something that we've been moving towards, incrementally, for the
Okay.
past few years.
But you just kind
Uh,
of got poked and forced into doing it now.
yeah, well, yeah, I wouldn't even say forced into doing it, more so provided the time to do it in,
Okay.
and provided given the impetus. Um, the the main One of the main things that I when I came in as director, is I wanted to expand adult programming.
Okay.
And so, we typically had about 3 programs a month for adults. Now, we're 3 times that many.
Wow.
And I think that that's amazing because programming is not easy. The amount of work that goes into not only putting it together but
Mm-hmm.
advertising it, is a fair amount of work, a
Okay.
really good amount of work. And then the money that goes into it. It's
Yeah.
not cheap to have
Okay.
programmers come in. We've done a lot of in-house programming. We've done a
Okay.
lot of great programming that hasn't cost much, but some programming does cost money. And so last year with the library budget, I introduced programming as a part of the line item in the budget,
Oh,
um,
okay.
for the municipality, because the Friends were the only source of, well, one of the only sources, the others potentially being our donations
Okay.
account, being the source of funding for programming. And,
Okay.
programming for libraries is an essential service now.
Okay.
It is just as essential as books and other materials, because it's just another aspect of our mission, which is to educate, inform, and kind of lead people in lifelong learning.
Cool. Now, speaking of funding, though,
Mhm.
I mean, yes, the Friends have helped tremendously, but usually you have your book sales and the May baskets, the raffle for the baskets. And how long do you anticipate it will take to make up for those losses over this past year? How
Yeah,
long, because you are expanding your programming, you are, providing a lot for the community, which is fabulous. But
yeah.
you lost a couple of streams of income here.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. We haven't been able to do any fundraisers. The only fundraiser that we did was we did a pop-up book sale on the front lawn,
Oh,
and that was
okay.
because we had so many books that we were getting ready to do a friend's book sale in April before we closed down, and
Surprise.
yeah, and unfortunately, even though we ask people not to leave donations, we still get a lot of donations left in the book return. We appreciate donations, but we haven't been able to really deal with the inundation of donations
Okay.
because the friends coordinated everyone. We didn't have to do anything in terms of
Okay.
sorting books or packing them away or anything
Yeah,
like
where do you
that.
store them? I mean, do you have room at the library to store all of this stuff to get ready for a book sale?
Yeah, we've got a large closet in the Fogelberg area that acts as a storage room for all of the books. But even as large as it is, we were bursting at the seams towards
Okay.
the book sale, and then all of these materials that continued coming in. We
Okay.
had to do a figure out one way to do it. Either just donate them or sell them at a reduced cost to a bookseller,
Okay.
or do a book sale. And luckily, by the end of the summer, or I'm sorry, I should say towards the end of fall, you know, people were feeling much more comfortable. Case counts were down quite a
Okay.
bit in Massachusetts, and so the friends were able to get a couple of volunteers and just do a very quick and dirty book sale where we put books out. It was $5 a bag, and just put them all out,
Cool.
or as many as we could. It was a great sale actually. In I think it was only 6 hours, we made as much as the friends do typically in one day of a book sale.
Wow.
Uh, and
I think you might have a new method of book sales.
yeah, yeah.
Save your
Honestly,
resources for other things.
yeah, it's an idea that the friends and I have been talking about. We know that there's a lot of people who have donations who they want to donate their materials to the library. We don't have any way of taking them right now, but we're formulating a plan so that when it's able to be done, we can potentially take all the donations and have a book sale in a very short turnaround.
Okay.
Um, and on a similar format as our pop-up book sale. But yeah, the friends, the friends are the one, the organization that makes money from the book sale, and they haven't made any money from any of the book sales this year. They weren't able to have any except that one pop-up. They did get, and as well as BCAT, received a very generous donation from the Norman Biggert estate.
Yes, yes,
And
that
yeah,
we were very grateful for that here as well.
absolutely. And so that was phenomenal, that we were able to receive that as well as others. It's been amazing. There have been many people who've reached out to the library because they know that we're not able to do any fundraisers. Their concern is that we don't have the money that we typically do.
Right.
And so we've done well, but of course it's going to be an issue ongoing, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, I don't mean to cut us off because I know there's so many other questions, but speaking of fundraising, I know you have your budget to take care of, and we are actually out of time.
I
So,
noticed that. I saw you look over and I said, "Oop, we must be getting done."
yeah,
So
we're almost out of time. So, but I do want to thank you for coming, and I'm really excited. I definitely need to go check out some of those programs, and I really hope that post-COVID, you're able to continue some of those because I think the library has been an incredible resource to the community, and I think that value has been increasing exponentially over the past few months. So thank you
yeah,
for
thank
joining
you.
us, and thank you for everything that you do at the library and your staff as well.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
all right. So, I want to thank everyone else for tuning in this evening. I hope you are as jazzed and as enthusiastic as I have become over some of those options to break down the pandemic fatigue. And I hope you take advantage of some of those. And I will see you around town. Good night.